And we're following breaking news as Chad Daybell, the stepfather of two missing Idaho children, made his first court appearance after investigators say they found human remains on his property. Today, prosecutors said those remains are of children.
The remains have not yet been positively identified. We are aware that those remains are the remains of children, which we believe is an aggravating factor.
And Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is near Chad Daybell's home in Idaho. Lauren, what's the scene like out there right now?
Yeah, John, so investigators are back out here today. We are learning some more details from that court appearance, including that one set of those remains was disposed of in a particularly egregious way, is what the prosecutor, Rob Wood, was saying. We're going to zoom in to show you that investigators, they're back out here, having recovered those remains yesterday, came out here again this morning, blocked off the roads in all directions so that people can't get too close. We've seen them put up even some additional kind of tarps or tents that you see out there that weren't there yesterday. There was a backhoe that was still out there this morning. And you can see that there are people walking around, lots of law enforcement vehicles. That is the area they were focusing on yesterday, the area where we saw a pretty deep hole that they had dug down with that backhoe. And, you know, as we got some shots from the air, you could really see it was that one area that they were digging in, but they did have some other areas of the yard roped off. They had some photogrammetry papers on the side of the barn. Again, focusing just really in that specific area and not sure what else it is that they would be expecting to find today. So obviously they do have more that they want to find out there. They did say yesterday they were going to continue to be on the property to continue to look, for information related to this case, related to the disappearance of JJ and Tylee. In the meantime, Chad's house has been shut down. Neighbors told me his children were living there. They were told to leave very quickly yesterday morning to pack up their things and get out. Haven't been able to be back since. And now, of course, we know Chad is in jail facing those charges, and his bond set at $1 million while investigators are out here this today. So we're going to be out here kind of tracking what they're doing, even from far away, kind of seeing what those movements are looking like, as soon as those roads open back up, being able to get closer, hopefully finding out, what more it is that they are finding as we slowly start learning these details, those clues starting to unfold that at this point, all point to one place as to, who potentially these remains could belong to and what may have happened here. John.
Yeah, Lauren, we learned today those remains are of children. So what is the mood out there in terms of neighbors? Is it just shock, or do people kind of expect this to be the result today?
Yeah, so I had a chance to actually go and talk to some neighbors last night. A lot of them really not wanting to speak publicly, but really just somewhere in disbelief. Some of these neighbors I actually talked to back in January when I was out here when this was all first starting up, and at the time a lot of them they went to church with Chad, knew him as a neighbor, knew him as a friend, and so at that time they were kind of reserving judgment. Now that's definitely changed. Now obviously the focus is more on the children and not so much on this friend and neighbor they had. But still, everyone seems to be in disbelief. And of course, not just for Chad, but for the whole family who was living in that home as well.
All right, Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher, some troubling developments here over the past 24 hours. Lauren, thank you so much. We want to go down to Fox 13's Adam Herbetz. He is live outside the courthouse. And Adam, again, not very much information that was new today. I guess the big nugget was that those two sets of remains were of children. What else did we learn today from this hearing?
Yeah, that really is the biggest piece of information that they have been able to reveal so far just in this short hearing. Of course, it is just one more step towards heartbreak. Of course, we first learned about the human remains yesterday. They revealed this morning that it was two sets, and now they are revealing that those two sets belong to 2 children. The other stuff that we took away from this case, of course, Chad Daybell now being represented by a new defense attorney, his 3rd one so far this year, and we're learning that his bail is set at the same amount as his wife's, Lori Vallow, about 12 miles away in Madison County. Of course, they have not been able to find the money to get her out of jail. It will be curious to see if they're able to find the money to get him out of jail. If he does, he will be under very similar restrictions, only allowed to be in certain areas close to his home in Rexburg, Idaho. The other nugget of information we learned from his new defense attorney, John Pryor, is that apparently Chad Daybell was on his way, according to his defense attorney, to turn himself in. We know that that search warrant was served at about 7 o'clock yesterday morning. At some point after that, they found the remains, and at about 11:30, they pulled him over in his car and arrested him. At that point, the witnesses we spoke to said it looked like Chad Daybell was driving very fast. At some point, those unmarked police cars surrounded him, and that's when they got him out and put him in handcuffs. The witness we spoke to said she wasn't confident. She didn't want to say for sure that it looked like Chad Daybell was trying to run or trying to flee from police. Of course, we know that that's not one of the charges that he's being faced with, but at the same time, she did not want to rule it out, and it's something that the defense attorney, John Pryor, talked about today. Of course, the big date we're going to have to circle on our calendar now is July 1st. That's the date where we'll finally, hopefully, be able to learn new information about what exactly led police and led prosecutors to charge these 2 specific charges. The information that's typically released today, the date of the arrest or shortly after the date of the arrest, that has been sealed to the public and to the media, we're told, due to the ability to not compromise the integrity of the investigation. When I asked the assistant chief of Rexburg PD about that yesterday as to why the search warrant was sealed, he said it's because of the intense amount of public and media interest. Some would argue that's the reason why the information should be public. It will be interesting to see how much they're able to release on that next court date set for July 1st. We're live in Fremont County. Adam Herbets.